North Dakota land where the skies are wide and the freedom stands. With a Bible in my hand and a prayer in my heart, living this life where the wild plays its part. Dust on my boots and my hat pulled low, got my trusty rifle and I'm ready to go. Hunting the game as the sun hits the sky in the heart of the 701. I feel so alive. Guns and the 701, that's how we roll. Faith in the good Lord, that's how we hold the line of the legacy that runs through our veins in this wild, wild land where the spirit remains. We're living free, living bold, side by side, with God on our plate and our hearts open wide. Ranch in the fields, the cattle run free with a purpose so strong, it's our grand legacy. The rivers run deep as we cast out our lines, fish in the waters where the North Star shines. Got the warmth of the sun with the chill of the night. With every shot fired, we're ready to fight for the freedom we cherish. The second is true. With family beside us, we stand through and through. Guns in the 701, that's how we roll. Faith in the good Lord, that's how we hold the line of the legacy that runs through our veins in this wild, wild land where the spirit remains. We're living free, living bold, side by side, with God on our plate and our hearts open wide. In a world that's spinning with sins that they wield, we stick to our values. Our fate is revealed with the word as our guide. We tread on the earth, a community built from the love, not the curse. Raising our voices, singing loud through the night, for God and our freedom, we'll continue the fight. Let the rifles ring out, let the spirits align. In North Dakota's embrace, our souls intertwine. So when you hear the gunshots and feel that proud sound, know it's faith and freedom that echoes around. From the fields of the ranch to the depths of the lake, with God on our side, there's nothing at stake. Guns and the 71 forever will stand in the heart of our faith in this great free
LAUER Auto Repair, located at 309 South Washington Street in Bismarck, North Dakota.
Give them a call at 701-258-6308.
The team of mechanics at LAUER Auto can take care of any problem your vehicle is having. And when you do business with LAUER, you can be assured you're doing business with a pro Second Amendment America First repair shop. There are plenty of other auto repair shops in the Bismarck-Mandan area. But why take a chance at patronizing a shop that might not have your beliefs at heart? Make no mistake.
Make no mistake.
Lauer Auto is your pro Second Amendment repair shop. When you talk to the guys at Lauer Auto, don't forget to tell them that you heard they are a sponsor of Guns and the 701 and that you appreciate their support of our pro Second Amendment, pro North Dakota live stream and podcast. That's Lauer Auto Repair, 701-258-6308.
701-258-6308.
Located 309 South Washington Street in Bismarck, North Dakota.
When you want it done right,
Go where lemons go.
Kalon's Auto Service, owned and operated by Kalon and Misty Foss, lifelong locals with over 25 years experience. From modern rides to classic restorations, they can handle it all. Top quality work, fair price, and honest hometown values. Located just 1 block south of Highway 12 on 6th Avenue West in Lemmon. Kalon's Auto Service, serving you with all your auto repair needs.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Glad to have you here. Episode 191 on this June 23rd. It's been an interesting day. I've been busy out haying all day, so that's a good thing. It means that we're getting something done finally around here, so very happy about that. A lot of things to talk about. We're going to talk about Chicago over the weekend. Wow, Father's Day weekend should be something different other than a rise in murders. We got municipalities that are still trying to ignore the laws that have been set, both at federal, state, county levels. They just don't care. And I'm probably going to be able to tie that a little bit into what we've been seeing going on probably up there. I heard today on Burleigh County about Burleigh County and their off-road vehicles, which I know it doesn't sound Second Amendment related, but think about the implications if they can do that in road right-of-ways. And I don't know all the parameters. What would stop them from having you carry firearms, driving in those right-of-ways, things like that? So we're going to kind of talk about that a little bit. Hey, Dan, good to have you here. Jamie, good evening. Paul Metz, good evening. Kevin, good to see you tonight. Dan Brown from the Western Edge. And, of course, Waylon is with us tonight as well. So UN officials are also, we're going to be talking about them. If you guys don't know, they meet quite regularly. I don't know why we're even still part of it. But once again, they're trying to circumvent things and take different ways and different avenues to try and essentially infringe on your sovereign rights as a United States citizen. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And then, of course, if we have time, we have a happy ending. We'll see where we are. I want to try and keep this one at an hour. I got some things I still need to go do this evening. Hey, Coachman friend D.A. Michael, good to have you on here tonight. I see he's chiming in as well. So before we get started, I always got to do this right away. 2 things right here. We got the Second Amendment, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. And the Democrat Party's checked out on that. They just have, you see all the insanity going on in the news. They just don't care. They say it on the Senate floor. They say it on the House floor. We see it in state legislatures, even down the county and municipalities. So just remember, it's always the Democrats. It's very seldom a Republican that brings anti-gun, Second Amendment infringement, rules, bills, laws into the arena. So with that, I always like to start the evening off with a prayer as well. So Lord, thank you for blessing us with the freedoms that we have each and every day in the United States of America, and giving the founders of this country, as we get ready to celebrate 250 years, the foresight to recognize that in the Declaration of Independence, the rights are inalienable. We've never seen anything like it in the world. We probably never will again. We ask that you look over our leaders, give them capabilities that they'll do this in the fear of you, and that they'll be trustworthy men that will hate dishonest gains. We see so much of that today. We also want to thank you for the blessing of moisture that we've had in our area to provide the crops and the feed and the hay for your animals that we care for. Again, be with everybody. be with the fathers as we celebrated Father's Day this last week, and bless them with an abundance of joy and love. In your name we pray. Amen. All right. So, hey, a lot of people. Hey, Kelly, good to see you. Brian Warner, Mr. MV, good evening. He says, I don't think the rumbles are coming through. Well, let me go over there and check. Yep, they are. Both channels on mine are working. Of course, as you know, we have two channels over there because when we started this thing, the Rumble was pretty new. It was actually kind of complicated. It's gotten a lot easier now. And we got so many followers on both that didn't cross over. So find Guns and the 701 Network. That's one of them. And the other one is Guns and the 701. Just search those out and they should come up. But Brian, they're both going right now. I'm looking at them right now. So with that, everybody, I want to go. Hey, Lynette, good to have you on as well. I'm going to go straight into Chicago. Chicago, Illinois. Chicago has Illinois as a whole have some of the most stringent gun control laws that you've ever seen. And they just keep doubling down on it. Well, this weekend, there was no difference. They had a lot of problems there. So I ran some numbers here. So homicides nationwide are down 19% as a whole. And that's compared to 2025. So they're comparing that to last year, which were significantly down and some of the lowest that we'd seen in history. Not in Chicago. So this is according to the crime index. I go there quite a bit just to see how things are going. Homicides are up 9.1% from this point last year. So the same time last year in June, they were 9.1% lower. So an increase of 9.1% when nationwide it's down 19. They had their worst day on Friday. That was just past Friday since 2024. And the shootings in Chicago doubled last weekend alone through Father's Day weekend compared to the same weekend in 2025. So you have a state with a mayor as well. I mean, every mayor seems like in Chicago has been bad, and Chicago in particularly likes to put on more stringent gun control if they're able to. They're not a fan. And of course, the state of Illinois, they have no reservations, just passing law after law after law after law. They don't even care about Supreme Court decisions. They just big old thumb and just big deal, right? You'll love this. They have that, or that's the Democrats right now, in response to all of the gun violence, as they like to call it, which I have always disliked that term. I know Jamie doesn't as well. None of us. It's a dumb term. The Chicago Police Department. So they have been the ones that, an alphabet agency that's supposed to be handling things. They have the CCPSA, Community Commission for Public Safety and Accountability. There's more. The MOCS, the Mayor's Office for Community Public Safety. So these three alphabet agencies already exist, sucking millions of dollars away from the taxpayers in Chicago. Now the Democrats, in response to this weekend, are asking for a dedicated Office of Gun Violence Prevention at City Hall. Office of Gun Violence. Remember when we had something like that under the Biden administration? They put Kalon Kamala in charge of that. Yeah, they got rid of that, by the way. Trump, bye-bye, no more. So my question is, with all these agencies already existing, why do they need another one that will yet fail? Why don't the three that already exist? And that, remember, you also have the police department. I don't know if they're funded enough. I don't know if they've got what they need. I don't know the parameters of it. But you would think with all of these things that exist already, should be a utopia there, but it's not. And like I said, I have no clue. I imagine that being a police officer in Chicago, Dan can chime in, but I bet you money that would be zero fun. I bet that would be a pretty bad job out there as well. Because from what I understand, talking to my sister who's out here this week, and her husband, who that's where they live, and they are leaving. They're escaping Illinois. I wanted to have him on tonight, but they're in Rapid City. Otherwise, I'd have had him on tonight to talk about the insane gun laws and regulations and things you have to abide by in that state. But I would imagine that Chicago could come up with some better ideas with all this going on. But, chase the money, right? Chase the money. Anyway, Chicago leaders now, they're trying, basically, why aren't they trying to undo some of the issues? And I agree with that. Springfield, if you don't know, that's their capital. You probably remember a couple of years ago that they created the Safety Act, which was just a slew of gun control things. And it basically got rid of, I believe it was the cash bail on criminals. So here you want to know another reason that they got problems. They're not even making a distinction between violent criminals, maybe blue collar, crimes, things like that. Nope. They lumped all into one. They do no cash bails. It don't matter if you've got a rap sheet 10 miles long. Nope. They're okay. Go ahead. Please show up in court. And then they don't. A lot of failures to appear. Then they got to spend more time, more resources, more money, and try to bring these people in. So it's a failed system, as we all know it would be. They also went to electronic monitoring. Now, anybody that's had any run-ins, I never have, but I've known plenty that have. Even if it's people with an alcohol problem that have had, they're just repetitively being drunk, have drunkenness charges, maybe DUIs. They may end up with ankle monitors. Well, they're doing that now for people who murder. I mean, think about that. You got a murderer, but hey, you know what? We're good. The Safety Act was passed. We're going to, take it easy on all these people who are just victims, because that's what they like to call them, and put ankle bracelets on them. I don't understand that myself, but here's a good example that I had to pull up here. So this is just this past April. Alfonso Talley, he robbed a dollar store. And if you haven't known it, this was actually in some of the other headlines when that happened. He was taken then to the hospital because he told the police that upon his arrest, he swallowed drugs. Found out he hadn't. And he's the one, if you remember the news headlines, when he got to the hospital, he basically was able to get a gun. I believe he took it from one of the officers because they thought this guy was, overdosing. He took a bunch of drugs, blah, blah, blah. And he shot and killed Officer John Bartholomew, and he injured another officer. This guy was on electronic monitoring. Think about that. His device had shut off 7 weeks before this shooting. Nobody seems to really know why. It doesn't say when you go look. And there's just not a lot of public information on that. And when it went off, a Cook County judge finally, after 48 hours, he issued a warrant. It was ignored. They tried to find him. They couldn't find him, and eventually they finally found him when he robbed this dollar store. That's how he got caught, everybody. They couldn't find him. This guy's electronic monitoring thing for 7 weeks was not on. 7 weeks. And then they finally got him after he, robbed a dollar store, and then got arrested, said he swallowed drugs, was able to get a gun, and he's at the hospital, kill one officer and injure another. That's your electronic monitoring on a violent criminal. And when you kind of look into this, he's kind of had a big, long rap sheet of problems throughout his life. This was not new. He wasn't new to the criminal system in the state of Illinois or in Chicago. But yet, we'll throw an ankle bracelet on this guy. Quit working. Yeah. Kelly says, so these ankle bracelets detect guns in the hands of criminals, huh? Yeah, if only, right? And this is where incidents like that, they are they are a great example as to why you can't use that for that kind of person. If someone had too many speeding tickets or maybe too many DUIs, I'm sure it's fine. I bet you 99% of the time those people show up for court. They take the consequences and they move on with life. But you got a guy who's been in and out of the prison system, and he's had some pretty vicious, violent stuff. First time he'd ever murdered anybody, from what I saw when I was looking this guy up. He looked like he was a pretty young guy. I don't even need to tell you his race, and it don't matter. I'm sure all of you can figure it out in Chicago. But this guy looked like a hoodlum. I mean, he has that stereotyping, but he earned it. And he looked like he should probably be behind bars. I don't have a lot of it as far as the details as to why he did it, but this is what happened, and it was because of the lack of keeping this man incarcerated, because they wanted to feel good and look like they weren't racist and they were woke and they wanted whatever you want to call it. They let this person here. Bob Fisher, one person in here. Yeah, you're over on Facebook. I don't know which one you're coming in on. I can see that. There's the count's way more than that across the board with everything, if that's what you're kind of getting at there. Yeah, looking at some of these other comments. All right. So that covers the electronic monitoring. What I think it is ridiculous that you use it as a broad stroke for anybody and anybody coming in and call it a day. If their prisons are overrun, that could be, but I bet you they can find more money if they get rid of a bunch of welfare programs and quit trying to take guns out of your hands. Then we might have something going on. Anyway, I'm not a big fan of the electronic monitoring anyway, and this just showed one of the failures of that. Now, think about this. So they're sympathetic to criminals. They're even sympathetic to the electronic monitoring. But I wanted to point this out in my notes here. Most Illinois residents are probably, like I said, abiding by the electronic monitoring. Most Illinois residents also are not committing crimes and murder and other violent offenses with AR-15s or large capacity magazines. But these same Democrats that flip the other side of the coin for electronic monitoring and criminals say, nope, we're going to take those away from you because you can't be trusted, even though you have never committed the crime. And that's where I was going with that. These same Democrats passed the Safety Act. These same Democrats basically make it illegal for anyone to possess any kind of firearm that's even a replica of an AR type firearm or large capacity magazines, which you and me and everybody else know that is not the cause of the problem at all. So I guess in a wrap on this one here is that Chicago has some of the most restrictive gun laws. That we know this. For decades, they've had some of the worst criminal offenses taking place. They are one of the most violent states, Illinois as a whole, Chicago in particular. Kind of like DC was. We've seen the same thing over in California. Pick your Democrat blue state or city. You're going to find that they have the most restrictions and most laws, yet they have the highest crime. It's pretty much a given. John Lott's book has always been correct. More guns, less crime, and then we're talking about law-abiding people, which we don't have in those. I don't know what's going to happen over there in Chicago. I imagine it's going to get worse. People are fleeing that state. People like my sister and her husband, they're leaving. They're leaving. They're moving over to Kentucky. They're down in Kentucky, and they're so happy about being able to escape that. Not just that, taxes are going up quite a bit in Illinois. I think it takes place July 1. Some of these things, something like another 50 cents on gas. That's a whole nother rabbit hole. It has nothing to do with this, but it's things like that that make the good people leave that state, and then it allows these kinds of things, these kinds of policies, and these kinds of rules and laws to be passed because that's the kind of people get elected. So Chicago, I think it's a loss. I don't think they're going to be doing much as far as getting things right. I think you're going to see them slip further into decay. And you will probably see Chicago get more violent. I wouldn't want to visit that place. I have zero desire to go there because of these things. So anyway, with that, that'll wrap up our first segment. Again, you want to make sure you support all of our sponsors. If you want as well, it's over there. Right over there. We got our subscribe button. Go ahead and scan that code. We want to thank everybody who's done that. We've had quite a few people the last 2 and 3 weeks doing that. We surely appreciate that. We have things that go from $5 all the way up to $75. You can do it reoccurring. You can do it one time, and we do appreciate that. So go ahead and hit that. And we really, really thank everybody for supporting the show, because we can't do it without you. That's what keeps this baby and this train rolling. So, hey, Kelly says even the Bears are cutting bait. I heard that. They're going to put their stadium down in Indiana or something. See, I bet no one knew that. I probably knew that because I don't follow any sports. But yeah, I heard they're leaving Chicago. Soldier Field's been an iconic place, home of the NFL Chicago Bears, but going to be leaving that. Beyond Raging Bullets, good evening. Glad to have you following us and listening in as well. So we are going to take a quick break. Like I said, please support all our sponsors. Lauer Auto Repair has been with us since day one, and I highly recommend them. Axe does a fantastic job. The whole shop does a great job. They can fix your vehicle and really take care of you. So I really highly recommend you go over there and give Axe some love over there at Lauer Auto Repair. One of our newest sponsors, Crappie Creek Feeds. Hey, I love these guys. I've been doing business with them for a while. It's Jason and Megan Holm, 605-850-3998. Again, 605-850-3998. And they have everything you need for your livestock. And I'm talking, they've got mineral, they've got salt blocks, they've got the garlic lick barrels. They've got the other liquid type of mineral. They have garlic salt. And I'm telling you, I've been using this. I started it already this year early. Got it into their system. Yes, they do smell like garlic when you're walking by the herd or driving through them. But the flies do not seem to be near as crazy as they have been in the past. So, again, Crappie Creek Feeds, one of them along right there with one of our other top sponsors, Lauer Auto Repair and Kalon's Auto Center. Go ahead and give them a call, Jason or Megan Holmes, 605-850-3998. We will be right back after this extreme profit timeout, as Rush used to say.
LAUER Auto Repair, located at 309 South Washington Street in Bismarck, North Dakota.
Give them a call at 701-258-6308.
The team of mechanics at LAUER Auto can take care of any problem your vehicle is having. And when you do business with LAUER, you can be assured you're doing business with a pro Second Amendment America First repair shop. There are plenty of other auto repair shops in the Bismarck-Mandan area. But why take a chance at patronizing a shop that might not have your beliefs at heart? Make no mistake. LAUER Auto is your pro Second Amendment repair shop. When you talk to the guys at LAUER Auto, don't forget to tell them that you heard they are a sponsor of Guns and the 701 and that you appreciate their support of our pro Second Amendment, pro North Dakota live stream and podcast. That's LAUER Auto Repair, 701-258-6308.
701-258-6308.
Located 309 South Washington Street in Bismarck, North Dakota.
When you want it done right,
Go where lemons go.
Kalon's Auto Service, owned and operated by Kalon and Misty Foss, lifelong locals with over 25 years experience. From modern rides to classic restorations, they can handle it all. Top quality work, fair price, and honest hometown values. Located just 1 block south of Highway 12 on 6th Avenue West in Lemmon, Kalon's Auto Service, serving you with all your auto repair needs.
For the best gun gear for every and any situation, Little Angry Man Arms LLC has you covered. Top-notch guns from top-name brands like Winchester, Glock, Sig Sauer, and Ruger to essential extras from Magpul, Streamlight, Hollow, Sun Optics, and more. Little Angry Man Arms LLC have everything to make your shooting adventures a success. Visit littleangrymanarms.com today and gear up for your next big hunt, competition, or home defense. Don't miss out on our exclusive deals. Little Angry Man Arms LLC, based in Trail City, South Dakota, your ultimate hunting partner.
At Horton LaserCraft, we believe in the power of personalization. Whether it's a cherished memory, a special occasion, or a unique gift, our custom laser engraving brings your vision to life. Our expert craftsmen and state-of-the-art technology ensure every piece is a work of art. From personalized decor to one-of-a-kind keepsakes, Horton LaserCraft makes every moment unforgettable. Horton LaserCraft is owned and operated by a local veteran and his wife located near Thunderhawk, South Dakota. They provide custom laser products at a reasonable price, and their turnaround time is fast and efficient.
Custom board cutting, glassware, decanter sets, mugs, assorted stainless steel jewelry, assorted tags, decor, custom acrylic nightlights, and much, much more.
Call them up at 605-545-7535. Horton LaserCraft, where memories are engraved.
All right, we are back. So, hey, I was going and checking out a few things. I noticed on one of the Facebook pages that some comments aren't coming through. Jason, I'm hearing you here. I see it now. So he says, Supreme Court finally ruled marijuana cannot stop you from owning a firearm. Good work. Even Trump dropped marijuana as Schedule 3. And that's actually, I was going to bring that up. I think I'm going to try to talk about that a little bit on Todd's show on Friday. But yeah, so the Supreme Court said, hey, that isn't a reason. I didn't go read the complete ruling. I didn't have time to actually get ready for that. So I'm going to go take a look at it, see what the actual, what the justices said about that. And yeah, and I think the ATF is getting ready to make new rules on that to reflect the new court ruling. So, and he says, hey, I'll do the time for my crime. The ankle monitor and probation is just a revolving door. Boy, I don't disagree there. It true is in and out of jails and prison. It's a moneymaker. You're right about that. In fact, we've got some penitentiaries, some prisons, they're actually owned privately, and they are basically prison for profit. That is very, very true. It turns a 3-year-old sentence into a 6 or 10 year sentence. Just do your time. What about Nome community and life sentence? Yeah, I'm telling you, that was another one. She let him go. She shouldn't have, and he did it again. That was crazy as well. And Jay says the justice system is corrupt in this country to a lot of degree. I don't disagree with that, Jason. I absolutely do not disagree with that. To tell you the truth. Also, you want to go over there and hit Horton LaserCraft. They do a great job. If you haven't, go over to Facebook, check out their Facebook page. They have got some pretty cool stuff on there right now. I know that Roger and Jane have been doing some great things over there. You're going to want to go check them out. Plus, they're veteran owned. That's the cool thing about it. And we appreciate having them as a sponsor. Someone else put something on here. I don't care if you price match it right now. Thanks for listening. But we have a sponsor that does that, and that is Guns, and the 701 endorses to get all your laser work done right here. So, okay, I want to move on now. Basically, I want to talk a little bit about the UN. Yeah, what's the UN got to do with it? The UN has been one of our most, well, I'd call them one of the worst entities as far as trying to infringe on our Second Amendment rights as sovereign citizens of the United States on a global level, and then basically say, hey, all of us voted for this, so it should be done. No, we're not going to do that. Remember, Biden and Obama both tried to put us into treaties. Trump undid the one, which was good to see because we needed to withdraw from that. We should never make a treaty or enter into a treaty, and of course our Senate should never approve that when it would ban the guns or give up our sovereignty. It's just that simple. Now, David says, hey, they do awesome work. You need to get some badass business cards like ours. You've got to see these things, guys. I don't even have one down here. They look cool, though. They're metal. I got some with the new logos and the old logos. Yeah, they look pretty cool, and they've got all the show information, hosts on there. It's really, really cool stuff. So let me get back to the UN. So they had a meeting in June. It was the United Nations 9th biennial meeting of the states to consider the implementation of the program of action to prevent, combat, and eradicate the illicit trade in small arms and light weapons in all its aspects. So they just renamed it. I mean, they've tried this before. We've seen this before when it had to do with, small arms treaty. They're calling it the POA because that's what government and entities like this do. They use acronyms so nobody knows what it means. They held this at the UN headquarters in New York. We need to kick them out. We need to withdraw and kick them out of this country. So NRA they've always had a seat there. They don't get to say nothing. It's I forget what they call that gives them that seat or that privilege to be there, because you can't just walk in there and listen to this stuff. Dan, we can talk a little bit about that, Dan. Should have you on here. I would love to talk about civil asset forfeiture. That is one of my pet peeves when it comes to things, and it creates thugs, and it does. It encourages bad actions. It truly does. I know that when Rick was in there, Rick Becker, he really tried to get that through the North Dakota State Legislature, and our supposedly conservative constitutional legislature voted it down. So just so you know, that I've been telling everybody for a long time, North Dakota's purple. It is not red, purple at best, and the legislature is very purple. So anyway, so NRA was basically giving this report. They said before the meeting opened, delegates were presented with a draft outcome document that contained language that openly targeted the firearm industry. So they've been unsuccessful getting legislation passed in the United States. We all know that. I mean, some things have made it through, unfortunately, with commie traders like Horton, who voted for the bipartisan of unsafe act, I guess I'd like to call that too. But you've always got those in there. But they have also tried to do this on an international scale, because most of the world is an anti-gun. They don't have a Second Amendment, right? So in response to not being able to get the United States to bend the knee, they're going to target things. And it's not the first time this has happened either. Remember the coding on point of sale? And everybody does not know this. There's a little code that attaches to each and every single sale, and it's coded out as to what category what your purchase falls under. That's why I'm not a big fan of cards either. I use a lot of cash. I encourage everybody else to do the same. Anyway, here is the provision. It's a provision that calls for the establishment of an industry code of conduct. And this is language that the UN could use to hold not only firearms industry, but the entire commercial chain responsible for the criminal diversion of their products. That's what it says. So what they're going to say is, hey, Ruger Firearms, your guys are importing XYZ. They're not. I'm just throwing that out there. And you're putting that into your firearms. Now they're going to go after whoever the importer was, whoever the shipper was, and from the country of origin or wherever it come from, and try to hold them responsible. Say if somebody took a Ruger American and used it in a crime. I mean, that's where they're going with it. It also will then make it hard for shippers, manufacturers, importers, exporters, anybody in the industry. It's going to ramp up prices if you can even get it. It will make it, if they accomplish what they want, it will be so difficult to engage in the lawful commerce of firearm sales and manufacturing that a lot of people just pull out of it, because you ain't going to be able to ship your product nowhere. You're not going to be able to get your place insured. You might not even be able to get a bank loan, even though we have legislation now that prevents that. And I believe President Trump also did an executive order. You're still not going to be able to do it. Johnson or John Olson 2260 says, I heard Becker did Baszler's boob job. Any truth to that? I don't know. I really don't know. I had to throw that one out there. I know it had nothing to do with the UN story. Anyway, I want you to know that that's where we're going with this. So further on in this report from NRA, and I'm glad that any of you that says the NRA doesn't do anything, This is what they do. This is the stuff you see or don't see in the headlines and in the news and even in the magazines, because this is the reports that come out, and you can find them, but they don't necessarily put them out everywhere, and the media really doesn't pick them up. So what they said is NRA members should recognize the tactic. It mirrors the development that NRA ILA repeatedly reported on during the discussion surrounding the Arms Trade Treaty, and that was the ATT. It was anti-firearms advocates. They sought to establish a standard of liability based on a claim that violates international human rights laws, international humanitarian law, or acts of so-called gender-based violence. Here we go, guys. There's no such thing as gender, by the way. It's sex. You're either a male or a female, but that was a created term. Committed with a firearm and are so foreseeable that everyone involved in the lawful transfer of that firearm from beginning to end should bear the responsibility. Think about that. Think about that language. Under this theory, liability would not stop with just the manufacturer. It would extend to importers, exporters, things I just said, brokers, commercial shipping companies, insurers, financial institutions, and payment processors. And that's a key right there. They're pushing for this cryptocurrency. They're pushing for you to go to a cashless society. No, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Because if they can manipulate payment processors, which they can, it can already be done. They can shut you off. They can say, nope, you can't buy this. Nope, we're not going to allow this industry to even be able to do it. Then they'll make some other law and make it illegal. And then if you get caught doing it cash or doing barter, then you're in trouble. If you become a felon with the stroke of a pen, just like we saw under bump stocks and other things we've seen throughout the decades. The assault weapons ban, overnight you became a criminal, a felon, really, by the stroke of a pen until 10 years later when it expired. So, but I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole tonight. And it's just like I said earlier, the objective is that if anti-firearm activists cannot eliminate the lawful firearms trade directly, they will attempt to make participation in it so legally risky that businesses choose to just withdraw voluntarily. That's what I just said here before I even come to this. This is in that report from the NRA. That's exactly what's going to happen, right? We've seen this happen before. Look what happened to the tobacco companies. And it's the same lawyers who tried to sue all the gun companies for liability back in the 90s. But a lot of you probably don't even remember that. So, as NRA in the report, it says it represents the next evolution of the international gun controls movement and their attack on the firearms community. They want to expand their theories of liability across the entire supply chain. They seek to pressure lawsuit-weary shipping companies, freight carriers, banks, insurers, and payment processors to distance themselves from lawful firearms commerce. So they won't have to make a law. They'll make it so difficult. And we saw some banks do this that just said, nope, we're not going to let anybody start up a firearms manufacturing company. They just completely said, we're not doing it. And what are you going to do? I mean, they even debanked Trump. I don't know if you guys know that. That had nothing to do with the firearms. They didn't like him. They didn't like his policy. So they quit using him. He had to get a different bank. We saw that several times over the last 10, 15 years. You'll love this, though. There's another maneuver that they did. It also featured efforts to advance the UN-backed study on firearms marketing and tracing. And it ain't just the UN, everybody. I watch government do this. I watch government alphabet agencies do this. They took that with carbon dioxide. EPA declared it. They said they took a scientific study done by them. Then they declared it a greenhouse gas, and essentially we got to regulate it and get rid of it. It exists naturally. We expel it every time we breathe. So does every other living animal. It's not our enemy. Soil needs it. But because in the name of the climate mafia groups, they did it. They started wanting to sequester it. They started wanting to eliminate it, regulate it. We got the lowest levels in our atmosphere now. They're going to do the same thing with guns. They're going to have a study. They're going to declare it bad because this, and then they're going to reference that. I see that all the time in government. They do something and then they reference to fake science and then make it law. Well, that's what this is. So they're going to have a UN-backed study on firearms marketing and tracing. And the delegates at this conference were then asked to welcome the study and the conclusions that drew it into the folds of the POA, which we remember it was called the Programs of Action. And then it will be used to provide the UN with the scientific evidence that it will need each and every time they go to expand firearm marketing standards and as well as regulation. Wow. Just like I said. Even more significant, they launched yet another new anti-firearms initiative within the UN. First meeting, it was called the first meeting of the Open-Ended Technical Experts Group, otherwise called OETEG. Here we go, acronyms. And that was held during the week as well. This group has been tasked now with developing recommendations based on the UN-backed study on firearms and marking and tracing. See, they're already doing it. And developing recommendations to ensure the full and effective implementation of, again, the Program of Action and the International Tracing Instrument, and develop new international standards impacting the firearms community. All right, so they did it already. They had a meeting. They wanted to do this, so they did this point of action. Then with the point of action, they went within that particular document. They created the UN-backed study on firearms marketing and tracing, and then created the open-ended technical experts group to make recommendations. Yeah. The group is chaired by Michael Imran Kanua and Sierra Leone's ambassador and permanent representative of the United Nations. The ambassador set a positive precedent by meeting with the NRA. So he met with the NRA outside of the formal meetings, but they had no say. And he met with them as representatives of the industry, which probably isn't a bad group, right? NRA might know a little something about that. They had zero say in that room as to what was being discussed, and the only people that had any kind of discussion or say as experts in firearm design was government, academies, people with big fancy degrees, advocacy groups and organizations, and other non-governmental organizations, NGOs. So right there, and NRA had to sit there silent and could not say a word. Here's what's really interesting, though. So they witnessed this presentation. They did one after another, and the expert status of the UN Office of Disarmament Affairs. Remember this, UNODA. Here's another acronym to remember. They discussed the alleged dangers posed by what they call new technologies in modular weapons, polymer frames, and the evil 3D printers. Yeah, can't have those, right? Many of the presentations, I know this is a long segment, many of the presentations appeared to resonate in the echo chamber. This was the analogy from the person from the NRA that was attending this. And it doesn't surprise me. It also came after final negotiations over the meeting's outcome document. The United States delegation raised objections to multiple provisions and called for a vote on several of them. So as with any meeting, they raised up many issues and would like to have a vote on them. And guess what? They said, nope, we're not going to do it. Let's see. Oh, Coach says Trump is working on withdrawing the U.S. out of the UN. Isn't that correct? Well, that's what I thought, Coach. I really do. I think he was working on it. And yeah, it's because of stuff like this. And it's not just this. It has to do with the fake climate change. There is no man-made climate change, things like that. The UN backs all that, and it's all about money and power, and you know that as well. Anyway, so they said they wanted to withdraw. They wanted to have votes on it. And under a normal circumstance, that was the procedure. It would have required member states to formally make a vote and record their vote formally in support or opposition of the disputed language. Standard practice when issues are sufficiently controversial. Instead, though, rather than permitting a vote, the chair employed UN attorneys. Now, these were not our attorneys, United States, no, UN attorneys to provide a legal interpretation that prevented the voting. So, for a consensus-based initiative, that was extraordinary as far as they were concerned. And it went on, and long story short, they passed it with objection. The United States had no other choice but to vote no. They basically said, we're not doing it. They objected, and the meeting moved forward. The outcome document was adopted and gavelled into place with applause. The chair then noted that the allotted time in the room had expired and it needed to be cleared. So as they're leaving, right, Ivor Fung, he's the chief of conventional arms branch of the UNODA. Remember I said, remember that one. That is the UN Office for Disarmament Affairs. Think of that name, the UN Office for Disarmament Affairs. Ivor Fung is his name. I got a different name I could give him. Chief of the Conventional Arms Branch of the UNODA. He made a point to walk over by the United States delegation and remarked, we have lawyers. I guess that's how it went down. It just, hey, we got lawyers, and look what happened. And that's the kind of stuff that we are seeing everywhere. The message there was, hey, we really don't care. You can object all you want, but we will get our desired outcome. If we don't have it, we'll just make it a legal matter, and we will just do away with the formalities and the rules of the meetings. And that's really what they're saying. We're not going to do the procedures. And I've seen that happen in meetings around here even. And I like what they said here. This was the closing of the NRA statement. It says, gun owners should pay close attention to what happened in New York last week. The controversy was not merely about a single document or a single meeting. It revealed a broader strategy that continues to unfold within the UN in multiple forms, expanding liability theories against firearm industries, developing new international standards affecting firearm design and manufacturing, excluding industry experts from technical discussions, and using procedural tactics to advance political objectives. As the chair of the OETEG observed in his report, this meeting marks the beginning of a much larger process. And I don't disagree. You're only going to get that here. You're not going to hear that on iHeart. You're not going to hear that. I might talk a little bit about it on Todd's show, which I'm grateful that he has us on there every week to talk about things like that. But you're not going to hear this in the fake news media. I haven't even heard it in like Real America's Voice. I've heard nobody talk about this. Nobody's talking about it. The UN just does it. Nobody hears about it. We need to be out of the UN. It does us no good. It gives us no service. And this is the kind of thing. They've had this on their agenda, and it goes with the 2030 objective. It's always been there. It's been there for a long time, and it's not going away. We are, 3.5 years out from 2030. And I'm telling you, things are going to ramp up. And we only have a couple more years, 2.5 years left of protection under the Trump administration. So love him or hate him, without him, we'd be screwed right now. It's just that simple. Dave says, I bet that guy from the NRA got an ulcer listening in that meeting. Oh, wouldn't that be crazy? I just can't even understand how they got such retarded people. But, not everybody has the freedoms we have. It's that simple, really. So, one quick thing I want to tell you guys about, and I'll get some details here in one of the breaks. I've got it on an email. So June 30th is the Outdoor Heritage. Let me bring it up here. Oh, come on. It's the Outdoor Heritage Fund Advisory Board. This will be Grant Round 28. You can find this under the Industrial Commission's website for North Dakota. It's taking place at June 30th. That's a Tuesday. It's going to be at 8:30 a.m. Central. I'm just going through this. Locations at the Capitol building, and I do have a room that they're going to be holding it in, but it'll be easy to find it. So if anyone wants to attend it, you can attend those meetings. I'm on that board. You can't say anything. It's just you can be there as an observer. But if you got any questions for me, hop on that website, look at some of them grants, and tell me what you think. I hold the seat that Farm Bureau holds. So I look at our policy book and see if any of those grants follow our policy book. That's the deal where about $1 to $1.5 million drops into that fund each and every month, each and every year. And you can apply for it for different things. I think Scott was going to try to get their grazing association up there in that Bowman, Rame, Amadon area to do a one. But so many things I see come in there are not worthy of, as far as I'm concerned, of even being funded. Just because the money's there don't mean that every grant has to be funded. So check it out. I will probably put something out there before that meeting takes place again, just so everybody comes. I encourage people to go to stuff like that. I'm sure that's not very popular with some people, but yeah, I know I'll probably talk about it on Friday on Todd's show as well. So just keep that in mind. Tell you what, we are going to take another break here, and we'll come back. We will probably go into discussing the anti-gun municipalities when they don't follow the rules set forth, saying you can't do these things. They do it anyway. We saw this in Fargo, when they tried to pass anti-gun ordinances, which you can't have anything more stringent than what the state has. That's the way that goes. So we're going to come talk a little bit about that. If we got time, we'll do a happy ending, and we're going to call it an evening because, like I said, my sister and her husband are in town. And that's kind of why I want to get out of here. I got a few things to wrap up here, and then I'm going to head off to town and go visit with my family. I will be right back after word from our sponsors.
LAUER Auto Repair, located at 309 South Washington Street in Bismarck, North Dakota.
Give them a call at 701-258-6308.
The team of mechanics at LAUER Auto can take care of any problem your vehicle is having. And when you do business with LAUER, you can be assured you're doing business with a pro Second Amendment America First repair shop. There are plenty of other auto repair shops in the Bismarck-Mandan area. But why take a chance at patronizing a shop that might not have your beliefs at heart? Make no mistake. LAUER Auto is your pro Second Amendment repair shop. When you talk to the guys at LAUER Auto, don't forget to tell them that you heard they are a sponsor of Guns and the 701 and that you appreciate their support of our pro Second Amendment, pro North Dakota live stream and podcast. That's LAUER Auto Repair, 701-258-6308.
701-258-6308.
Located 309 South Washington Street in Bismarck, North Dakota.
When you want it done right,
Go where lemons go.
Kalon's Auto Service, owned and operated by Kalon and Misty Foss, lifelong locals with over 25 years experience. From modern rides to classic restorations, they can handle it all. Top quality work, fair price, and honest hometown values. Located just one block south of Highway 12 on 6th Avenue West in Lemmon. Kalon's Auto Service, serving you with all your auto repair needs.
For the best gun gear for every and any situation, Little Angry Man Arms LLC has you covered. Top-notch guns from top-name brands like Winchester, Glock, Sig Sauer, and Ruger to essential extras from Magpul, Streamlight, Hollow, Sun Optics, and more. Little Angry Man Arms LLC have everything to make your shooting adventures a success. Visit littleangrymanarms.com today and gear up for your next big hunt, competition, or home defense. Don't miss out on our exclusive deals. Little Angry Man Arms LLC, based in Trail City, South Dakota, your ultimate hunting partner.
At Horton LaserCraft, we believe in the power of personalization. Whether it's a cherished memory, a special occasion, or a unique gift, our custom laser engraving brings your vision to life. Our expert craftsmen and state-of-the-art technology ensure every piece is a work of art. From personalized decor to one-of-a-kind keepsakes, Horton LaserCraft makes every moment unforgettable. Horton LaserCraft is owned and operated by a local veteran and his wife located near Thunderhawk, South Dakota. They provide custom laser products at a reasonable price, and their turnaround time is fast and efficient.
Custom board cutting, glassware, decanter sets, mugs, assorted stainless steel jewelry, assorted tags, decor, custom acrylic nightlights, and much, much more.
Call them up at 605-545-7535. Horton LaserCraft, where memories are engraved.
All right, we are back, everybody. So yeah, I did kind of look at some of that information. It's going to be like 28 grants or 27 grants we're going to be reviewing. So keep that in mind, everybody. Like I said, I really encourage everybody to go check that out if you have time and sit in on it. Just see where this money's going. I mean, we're talking millions of dollars that we disperse out. Think about this, 27 grants to 27 entities. It's a lot of dollars going to just a few, as far as I'm concerned. So, just keep that in mind, that's what's happening there. Is it a good thing? There's some good grants in there, I guess. But, you're talking like, what, $370,000 per grant if you averaged it out that way, if they were all awarded. I mean, some are more than that. Some, not everyone's going to be funded. But anyway, check it out. That's a lot of dollars that's generated from the coal and the gas and the energy industry. And it's supposed to go towards, conservation projects, things like that. So go ahead and check it out. Hop on that website, and you should be able to find it. Outdoor Heritage Fund is what you're looking for. All righty. And Jason, again, appreciate you chiming in there. I don't know why it's not coming through. That's actually over on my Facebook page, but they're not coming through on here. So I don't know what to think about that. All right. Anti-gun municipalities double down when policies are challenged. I've seen this one, and it ain't the first time we've seen stuff like this, and I thought it'd be a good one to talk about. It's important when you see things like what's happening in Burleigh County with the road right-of-the-way thing, with off-road vehicles, things like that. I don't know the parameters of what happened. I guess there was a young kid who had his bike confiscated now. I don't know what happened, but when you can go ahead and make a rule that says, nope, you can't be there, and got stiff fines or even confiscation of private property, how does that affect your gun rights in a county? Remember, this wasn't the city of Bismarck. This was the county. And when they make a rule like that, it's countywide. That'd be like Sioux County saying no off-road vehicles and road right-of-ways because it's happening in 48. Oh, they can pound sand over here as far as I'm concerned. We use in one area, we do use the road right away or the ditch just so that we're not on the road. It's actually safer for us and for the people on the road. And it's a road right away. I mean, I pay taxes on it, so I should be able to use it. And I think that's the dispute, is that the private landowners and some of these developments, I think on the outskirts, are mad because there's tracks there. I don't know all the details, but it made me think about Second Amendment problems. What would stop a county from saying, hey, because of a safety issue? Remember, this was all about a safety issue, supposedly. What if they say it's unsafe if you're carrying and maybe there's a bike path? Maybe there's a walking trail in that right away. And now you're not allowed to carry there because the county said so. It's a preemption. I mean, we got preemption laws that don't allow that, but that doesn't seem to bug some county commissioners and people in cities, as we've been already talking about. So anyway, this is why I wanted on this. So why are they being challenged? Well, we know why. They've been told that the gun laws are unconstitutional. And there's been, I can't even tell you how many court cases. I mean, there's been several since Bruin that have taken place. But the big one was Heller. And then the second one, of course, was Bruin. And that law was huge in 2022 because it affirmed that law-abiding gun owners have a right to carry firearms for self-defense away from your home. And I absolutely agree with that. That was the right decision. It just was. But that's the problem with Democrats. and communists and tyrants, and they're all the same thing as far as I'm concerned. When they're told they can't do something, it's kind of like a little kid that says, you can't do that, Leighton, and they get pissed off and they go do it anyway, or they do something, try to get away with something different, then they get more trouble. Well, it's a little different though in the world of politics. Democrats never seem to have to pay the price. It's always the people, because you either pay the price by having to defend yourself from an unconstitutional law, or you end up paying the price because you had to foot the bill for the government to actually fight in court saying, nope, our tyranny is constitutional. And I call it what it is. So anyway, that's kind of how I do it. And they mentioned here Hawaii, New Jersey, and New York. As soon as Bruin came out, and they started passing laws. And a lot of them, I imagine, to try and overwhelm the system. But they wanted to restrict lawful carrying of firearms. It's always the goal, right? So the laws in New Jersey and New York, you'll love this, and I've heard this term a lot. They based it on expanding so-called sensitive places. So the Supreme Court set out you can carry, but then they created, it's kind of like having a free speech zone. No. The entire country is a free speech zone. It's the First Amendment. This idea that they can pen you up and put a ribbon around an area and say, stay in here, then you can have your gathering. No, I don't abide by that. I don't even like the fact that you have to basically make notice, especially on public grounds that are taxpayer paid for and held, like the Capitol grounds, to have a gathering. I guess it'd be a courtesy to let law enforcement know. Got no problem with that. Maybe let the people know, but to be approved, no. Pound sand. That's our Capitol building, not yours. As long as we're not being violent, we shouldn't be breaking any laws, because the First Amendment is also something that can't be infringed. And there's 5 parts to that, speech being one, assembly, and petition, the top 3. And then you got, I'm not going to not going down that rabbit hole, Nate, but the First Amendment is very important, just like the second. So anyway, so the new laws they passed based on safety and sensitive places. They prohibited it to where basically it was deemed unsuitable to carry anywhere. Sioux Falls down here tried some of that as well. When I was an NRA rep, they didn't get away with that either. Yeah, Axe, it didn't work well for Times Square this week. Yeah, no kidding. Anyway, when New York and New Jersey seen Bruin, they went right away. They went to work trying to pass stuff. And that's what they always do. They base it on safety. It's always for our safety, even though carrying is for our safety. It's kind of got that backwards, don't they? Hawaii, though, they might be, yeah, that's right. They got several Supreme Court cases going through, and they might not like the results of some of them. I haven't kept up. Maybe they've been decided, but I need to go see if they have. But when this was wrote, I don't know, they weren't being decided yet. But in these states are preparing for these losses in court because there's been so many to them, and they basically say, nope, we're going to go ahead and we're going to do this anyway. We're going to file another appeal, and we're going to try to stop the case again. I mean, that's what they do. Now you got the U.S. Virgin Islands, everybody. If you haven't heard about this, they're trying to adopt gun control measures and bills. They're a U.S. territory. They're not even a state. We can tell them anything we want. We can do whatever we want to them. They are not a state. They don't even have representation, nor should they, because they're not a state in Congress. They got a person that goes, but they have no authority there. They get no vote, and they get no they can't write bills. They can't do nothing. They can just be there. And they're facing a lawsuit that challenges existing policy relating to the issuance of their gun permits. That happened in December last year. Well, this is where I love what is happening in the Department of Justice now. You have Attorney General Harmeet Dillon. She's in charge of the Civil Rights Division that was created, right? And within that, they created the Second Amendment section, and she has just been going after places like Jersey, California, wherever she's seeing problem, Illinois, she's taking these things and going, no, we're done. We're not taking this. We are going after you guys for violating constitutional law that's been decided by the Supreme Court in recent years, guys. A lot of this stuff has happened in recent years. So she basically said that this was the announcement, and this is in reference to the U.S. Virgin Islands. She said that the newly established Second Amendment section filed a lawsuit to bring the Virgin Islands Police Department back into compliance legally by ensuring that applicants receive timely decisions without unconstitutional obstruction. And that had to deal with the permits to carry. So in other anti-gun jurisdictions, virtually the anti-gun operators in the Virgin Islands responded, saying that told what they were doing was something wrong by doubling down on their wrongness. Their effort is an attempt moot, though, challenging this in the permit issuing process. The procedure in Hawaii should have probably been considered as well in light of the questions being faced after the court hearing and the initial attempt to circumvent Bruin. But she's going after it, everybody. And you're seeing this in Denver and DC where they got semi-auto bans and they've got magazine bans. And Dylan's office is going after them guys too. I don't know how many she's filed within the department. I should look it up. It'd be a good number to know. But she's going after every single one of these states. And we saw a lot of these things happening last fall in the elections that were being discussed. So I just kind of wanted everybody to know that there is something being done about it. We saw some of this in North Dakota. We saw it in Fargo. They lost as well, because they were trying to circumvent what we all know they couldn't do. They cannot preempt the state statutes and the state constitution when it comes to the Second Amendment. And North Dakota has a good Second Amendment. Theirs is actually written even stronger, in my opinion, than what our federal one is. If you haven't read it, I really encourage you guys to go do that. So quickly I want to bring up one other thing here. See if I can make this work. Trying out a new thing on here. All right, here it is. Right there it is. So this, there it is. This is the Second Amendment. Let's see if I can bring this up a little more. Okay, the 2A Activist Center that was put out by the NRA. And what they're trying to do is get people involved. So everybody that says you don't know what to do, visit this site. It's called NRA Second Amendment Activist Center.com. It's very easy to do and go on there. Back to here, I'll grab the website and I will post it in the comment so that you guys can check it out. If you ever wondered how you get involved, well, there's the way you do it right there. You can scroll down there. You can sign up. They make it very easy to do that. You apply to become an activist. Fill in everything. What would you like to do? Host an NRA Day, display a decal on their window or door. If you have a business. Heck, Jamie, there's a good one for Crown Dental. They could really show it. Or if you're interested, Axel, you could get to your decal saying, yep, I do support this. There's just an array of things you can do in here. I mean, look at that sea of orange. I am the NRA. I love that. I brought that back again, which that was a big thing, especially in the 90s. But you can go to, they got news events that are happening right here. You got Tactical 21 is what Nebraska's first NRA Freedom Fest is being held. I mean, this is just fantastic to see this stuff happening. And I really encourage you just to go check out the site, because this is where it's happening. This is where the grassroots part of this happens. They've got resources and support. Like I said, you can host an NRA Day. And you can do it with your business. You can do it on your own too. You can get this. You can download and print giveaway volunteer sign-up forms. That's pretty cool. Host a legislative action event. Absolutely. Put a link on your website. We'll have to do that on ours. Then you can search within so many miles if you want to. You can search that out and see where your 2A activist centers are. Then you can contact them as well. If you want, you just fill that out, say, hey, I'm interested, and I'm sure someone will contact you, and then you can create an account too here. So I just wanted to pop this one in here. This is the hosted 2A Day. If you're wondering about it, you can promote your event and provide additional value to your customers. They're really encouraging you to do it if you have a business, and I would encourage all businesses that support the Second Amendment to do it. if you've got especially, if you got a brick and mortar store, that's probably the best place to do it. Or host it and sponsor it as your business and host it somewhere. That'd be another way. Do it at a range. Maybe Dave, there we go. Maybe we do one up there at the Moffett range. I think that'd be a fantastic thing to do as well. I can tell you that the NRA is back. NRA 2.0 is here. They're back. And I think that we're on the right road. Like I said, I'm really kicking the idea around. I've been asked to run for the board. I've been seriously considering it next year. And there's about 4 or 5 others of us that are going to do it. And that should complete a majority, hopefully, to make even bigger changes. And I guess, to me, this is our time. This is the chance. It probably needs to happen to see the NRA swing back to what it was and become what it was and be that voice. Because let's just face it, there's been some issues for many, many years. Even when I was working there, we saw it. But hey, don't give up on it. Get involved. And I encourage all of you to get involved in that. All right. That's going to bring us here to the happy ending. And I'm going to try to be done here by 8:30 Mountain Time. Let's see. Yeah, Dave said that'd be cool. We just got to book it. Absolutely. You and I can talk, Dave, because I ain't got any irons in the fire either. But anyway, so here's where our happy ending comes from tonight. Blue Springs, Missouri. Homeowner shot and killed an intruder early Friday morning after calling 911 to report that someone had forced their way into the residence. Officers were dispatched. The burglary was in progress. The homeowner told dispatchers that the individual had unlawfully entered the home. So the police said that the homeowner shot the reported suspect before they reached the scene. The individual was pronounced dead at the residence. Well, okay, that's true. And after I looked into it, it looked like it was probably a boyfriend or something. But anyway, there weren't a ton of things in there, but it sounded like it was a boyfriend, and it was getting pretty rowdy. Broke into the house, literally forced his way into this house, and she felt very, very threatened. And she basically took ownership, said, "Nope, not tonight." I don't know what was exactly happening. She has not been arrested. She was, of course, questioned and brought into custody, but they're conducting an active shooting investigation, and that's something we've talked about many times here. That will probably happen no matter what you're faced with. Here's what I like to know, even though we don't know a ton of details. You have probably somebody who had some problems. I don't know if he had a criminal record, possibly, but who knows? But he was forcibly trying to get into this lady's house and cause harm. And she felt so threatened, she had her self-defense firearm at hand, ready to go, and used it. And I think this is probably the best argument for the Second Amendment, right? You keep your firearm close to you. Seconds count, and we've all heard this. Seconds count when the police are minutes away. Had the police, if she had waited for him, would she have still been alive? We will never know that. But she felt she wouldn't be, obviously, so she used deadly force. And in Missouri, with their new laws, she had every right to do that. So that is our happy ending for this week, because we saw somebody that used their Second Amendment right. They felt threatened, and she wasn't going to have none of it. She was able to protect herself and anybody else in that home, and they walked away. And the assailant did not, and he won't do it again. And that is why that's a happy ending. So I brought that one up because I wanted to highlight the idea that she didn't wait for the police to get there. And to me, there had to be some pretty bad circumstances that made her feel she needed to use deadly force. And they were there actually within minutes, but it wasn't fast enough. And she basically took it into her own hands, as she was probably forced to. And I'm glad she had that opportunity, because that could have been, she could have got injured. She could have got killed. I don't know if there was anybody else in the house. I'm going to follow this one because I want to see what the circumstances were when everything's publicly released. But anyway, that is our happy ending. Everybody, I want to thank you for tuning in tonight. Thank all of our sponsors. Lauer Auto Repair has been with us from day one. And I can't thank Axe and the guys down there enough for being a founding sponsor and their continued support of Guns in the 701 and the network now with our show. We got 701 Marksman, Sunday Sportsman's Devotion, and Blackbeard Logic. Every Friday, I will be joining, as always, Todd Mitchell and Mitchell in the morning, 7:15 a.m. Mountain, 8:15 Central. And I'm probably going to highlight something. I think I really am going to do this. Part of that decision on the marijuana outcome in the Supreme Court, because I haven't had a chance to read the actual outcome. So I don't want to talk about it. I have an idea what it was, but I want to make sure that we got the right details. Maybe I'm sure Todd will have fun with that one. I'm sure we can have some fun with it, as we always do. Blackbeard Logic follows in at 5 o'clock p.m.'s Mountain Time, 6 Central. And Leon does a great job. He's always got some interesting subjects. Sunday is a Sunday Sportsman's Devotion. Comes on at 7 a.m. 7 a.m. every single Sunday. And that's in the Mountain Time Zone, 8 a.m. in the Central. And of course, every single Tuesday night, you can find me here, Guns in the 701. Who knows what we'll talk about, right? But I do appreciate everybody tuning in. That's at 7 p.m. Mountain Time every single Tuesday, unless I get a sub. Anyway, appreciate it, everybody. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks for supporting Guns in the 701 Network. We will see everybody next week. And remember, keep your powder dry, and God bless everybody.